The main protagonist of this story accidentally gets reincarnated in the body of Yi He, and he is seriously freaking out over the fact that he just got reincarnated, and not just that, but he also got reincarnated back to the worst possible time, before college entrance exams. In Sha Kingdom, Ancheng High School Grade 3, he panics about his situation, wishing that he had gotten reincarnated into a body that has already gotten into college. Since ancient times, humans on the Blue Star planet have been plagued by a catastrophe known as the Secret Realm Invasion. This secret realm connects to another world filled with terrifying monsters that sometimes take advantage of rifts in the realm to invade the human world. Some of these monsters are powerful enough to actually flatten several nations and threaten the entirety of human civilization. So, in order to fight back for a chance of survival, humanity developed the beast gene system that works by injecting the beast genes directly inside a human body to awaken a monster template and unlock genetic talents, and only such warriors can save humanity. This caused these warriors to enjoy much higher status and benefits than other humans, plunging the world into an era where martial strength is everything. A world where only martial cultivation is worth anything and everything else is inferior to that, and then our MC is reincarnated into the body of Yi He, a high school student about to take one of the most nerve-wracking exams of high school, and also has new memories implanted in him by the system. He is currently in class, and his little panic episode draws the attention of the whole class, so they mock him and make fun of him. And one girl in particular, obviously a bully, tells him to just drop out and become a common worker since there is no way he is passing the exam. Now he is well aware of the bullied protagonist trope and deduces that the girl must be the head jerk face bully in his story. Assessing his situation and new memories, he is able to obtain some key facts about the body he now possesses, like the fact that he is not the most popular in class, and his parents died in a car accident in the previous year which made him lose focus in school and training, and then his grades took a dive and brought down the class average, which explains why the students are making fun of his grades. Meanwhile, he has unconsciously been staring at the bully girl while doing all this thinking, and it really ticks her off, and she reveals that this is actually a martial arts class so they can fight if that is what he is asking. Our MC does not understand why he ended up inheriting this pathetic loser life when he does not deserve it. Just then, their teacher informs them that it is time to begin injecting the genetic modification serum, and he assures them to be brave about it, as their 3 years of building their physique and training their martial energy all lead to this very moment. And then he also mentions the people who never really took it before while maliciously eyeing our MC. Our boy thinks that this is all a very big joke, having to deal with crap that he did not cause, so he is not worried in the slightest, although he is very determined to clean up this Yi He dude's mess and basically become him. The students form an assembly at the school's injection hall, and everyone is waiting impatiently, wondering what the procedure is going to awaken them as and hoping that it is something powerful at least. Finally, a suitcase arrives, and the almighty gene awakening serum pops out of it, containing the primal genes of all magical beasts ever recorded by human workers. The teacher informs them that after being injected, they are to absorb one at random and awaken, but usually, having a strong physique ups your chances of awakening a strong gene. He tells them to be brave and calmly accept the surge of power that comes after receiving the serum, and then starts calling names to come up and get theirs. After each student gets the serum injected, they go crazy with power, almost like they are being possessed by some sort of evil spirit, which makes Yi He feel a little bit uneasy. He goes for it anyway and injects the serum straight into a neck vein, and then suddenly, nothing happens. It is puzzling to both him and his teacher, and he begins to wonder if he got scammed and was given a fake dose. The bully girl then appears just at the right time, of course, to mock him again for not being able to awaken anything at all, and he is starting to get really ticked off by her attitude. Just then, something hits him hard, and the system informs him that he has acquired an infinite monster template with basic information on his martial skills, which include basic QI technique, blocking palm, and iron body, and then physique rank, which is E. While he is being affected by the power, the dumb bully girl thinks that he is just pretending, and demands that he quit, but all he can tell her is to get away from him ASAP before it is too late. Of course she does not listen, and when his power explodes, revealing itself in the form of freaking Godzilla, she gets blown across the room like a paper bag. It is not just her, but other students surrounding are also affected, and some even start puking under the pressure of the sheer force of his awakening. A beautiful female character and some random, clearly self-obsessed dude also notice, and the dude is shocked that there is someone that might be stronger than him. Yi He has called upon an A-rank template beast, known as Mad Flame Demola. with bloodline abilities that include Scorching Breath, Molten Pulse, and Spore Absorption, and its advanced form is the Flame Lord Demola. But it can only be unlocked when template compatibility reaches 100%, and currently it is only at 3%. First of all, he has an infinite monster template, and now he has an A-rank template, so he begins to wonder whether this is some sort of cheat code the system gave him. The other students are shocked that almost everyone was blown away by someone they all mocked. Even Wang Xing, He's personal bully, got knocked away and she awakened a Tier 2 magic beast, the Flame Clam Scorpion. So that is saying something, and now she looks wasted. He apologizes for his awakening causing that much of a scene, but the students are already on their knees begging for his forgiveness. Just then it is announced that the students move to the testing building to have their awakened magical beast gene examined and to test their martial arts level. In the testing room there are machines known as the gene breakthrough devices that are designed to test an individual's magical beast gene and martial level. There is Lin Xinyuan, who used to be just an average student, but because he awakened a strong bloodline, a third-stage magical beast, Swift-Spine Bug, it puts him at the top of many people, which is just unlucky and unfair, really. Then there is Chu Zhou, the self-obsessed dude from before, who is apparently the top of the class, and is a level 9 martial apprentice, and he awakened the top bloodline among the stage 3 bloodlines, Ice Demon Dragon. Also, we see the beautiful girl from before, Miss Lu, who is also a level 9 apprentice, and she awakens a stage 4 rare bloodline, the Nether Sparrow, and that puts her at the top. If a stage 4 bloodline beast should appear in its true form, it can flatten most of a city, and it gives grandmasters a tough time talk less of mere warriors. He wonders why their awakened beast templates are either classified as stage 3 or stage 4, while his was A class. Just then, his name is called up signifying that he is the next person to be tested, but what he meets waiting for him on his way to the machine shocks him. All the students have gathered to give him a grand entrance into his testing tube, with eyes glazing the hell out of him and girls falling really hard. It looks almost unreal, but only proves that this world really does revolve around mental power. He confidently steps into the machine with his new fans now cheering him on after witnessing his awakening earlier. Meanwhile, our narcissistic fellow over there, Chu Zhou, sizes up his competition. The machine cannot seem to identify his magical beast template and can only start his martial arts level, which is just a mere 3, and that shocks the crowd. The fans that were obsessed and could not get enough of him less than a minute ago suddenly turn into a group of disappointed students that revert back to mocking him and laughing at him. He had expected this outcome, that the machine would not be able to detect his template, but his awakening triggered the prompt for the infinite monster template, so he is not discouraged. If anything, he is more fired up than ever, because what this means to him is that he can and will become the king of monsters. Yiho had asked his teacher to take a break from school and study at home, but the teacher is not really convinced that he really wants to study. He tries to explain that he knows he has fallen too far behind, so he needs to go for this special training, because if he continues trying to follow everyone else's pace, then there really will not be any hope for him. The teacher then makes it clear to him that he can only become a warrior by going to college, and with the way he is going, he is definitely going to fail, so it would be best if he prepared himself to repeat the year and try again next year, all in an attempt to discourage him. But it has absolutely no effect, and he keeps pushing with the sincerest puppy dog, eager to learn eyes you would ever see, so much that the teacher cannot resist and grants him permission, although he does not change his stance about he failing. On his way out, he reasons that he still has about 600,000 from his parents' house that was mortgaged and then over $1 million from their accident compensation, so basically, he has some capital to start with. Now, if he wants to get stronger, there are 2 ways he can go about it. He can either level up as a warrior or increase his compatibility rate with his Godzilla monster. According to the data, each monster is supposed to start with only 1% of compatibility, but Tamora, the Godzilla one, clearly has 3%, so the only valid explanation would be that Tamora absorbed the power of the genetic awakening serum and gained an extra 2 points of compatibility. What this proves is that all he needs is gene-related serums that can enhance his compatibility instead of training to death like a musclehead moron. So the next step is clear, to use his mini-wealth and invest in some serums. Once he beeps his card to leave school grounds and enters the main street, he is shocked to see that everyone is just casually walking around with their beasts fully awakened. He can sense them because of the skill he obtained from Tamora. Life Magnetic Field. which allows him to sense life energy emitted by other creatures, their chi, and their blood burning inside them, and also the beastly roars in their bloodlines. It is really taking all he can to hold himself back from giving in to his intense fighting desire. After all, Tamura is the king of beasts in its world, but unfortunately, he is still just a newbie in all this and all he can do is hold back. But once he gets stronger, then he will show the whole world what the title really means. A hot smoking babe pulls him out of his thoughts and advises him not to stare at people like a weirdo. Then he politely apologizes. She is able to deduce that he is just newly awakened and assures him that it is completely normal to not be able to control his powers at this stage. He then politely asks for directions to find genetic medicine, and it shocks her that such a youngster is looking for it because not only does it cost a ton, but its effectiveness also rapidly degenerates over time as the human body builds resistance. He is shocked stone cold to find out that just one of those drugs costs about 400,000, which is basically a whole 25% of his entire fortune. As a compromise, the kind lady hands him her card so that he can get a discount by referral since she is a veteran warrior. He thanks her a lot and waves the kind lady goodbye, and then proceeds to go on a shopping spree, buying weapons and other equipment that he needs. After some intense training, a few genetic drugs, and some Goku-level powering up, Yi-He is able to increase his compatibility rate with Demola up by 1%, making it 4. He is down for this feeling of power, and the drugs really work to increase his physique, but with each drug he took the less effective it was, just like the lady from before had warned. He is not really disappointed though because the level of power-up he just achieved is what others spend years working for. With that cheat code in his hands, he begins to believe that he might just be the top scorer in the exam. With that, he leaves to go get some training done in the secret realm. These secret realms are ranked based on difficulty from E-class being the easiest of all of them to S-class. The monsters in S-class secret realms are totally uncontrollable by humans, and if one of them should choose to invade the human world, then they would all be done for. On his way to an E-rank secret realm, he notices that it is basically a desert void of people, probably because it is an old realm that has been developed for too long, so all the major treasures have already been taken away, leaving only small fry monsters for the rookies to train with. He heads over to the dude in charge to collect his ticket that he booked earlier, and the dude gives him a death contract to sign in case of anything without even batting an eye. As he stands in front of the gigantic portal that is known as a rift leading to a secret realm, he is excited to take his first actual step to reaching his goal of becoming the king of beasts, so he dives right in without looking back, only to arrive on a strange planet with big moons and many stars, looking more magnificent than the textbooks he read described them to be. He is still taking in the beautiful scenery when an A-rank beast, Blade Fung Rabbit, tries to ambush him from behind, but he quite easily senses it and captures it instead, thanks to Tamura's life magnetic field ability that he now possesses, and so he crushes its head with his bare hand and eliminates it. He obtains a monster drop from defeating the creature, a magic core of average quality worth around 100,000 yen, which is overall a good score since he just made an amount that most people work hard to make in just a few seconds of entering this world. But he still feels it is a waste to be gathering first-rank beasts, and would much rather find a second rank at least. As if he has a secret fairy godmother listening in on his wishes, a second-rank beast, Demon Corpse Bug, appears out of nowhere, and he is excited to finally get to have some real fun. Still at the realm, Yi-He is able to land an attack on the giant bug because he had read the monster encyclopedia before, so he knows that its weak point is the soft armor on the abdomen, which is the obvious place to strike. The bug then comes rushing in towards him like a wrecking ball, so he drops his weapon and switches over to martial arts and sends a hyper beam the monster's way, blowing it out. It then sends a long-range attack of its own which catches him off guard, but he manages to just damage it but barely, and it ruins his clothes which pisses him off because they were not cheap. He realizes that he cannot do anything to this monster at his current martial artist level, and he blames it on the weak body he got reincarnated into, so he has no other option but to use his secret cheat code. So he activates his Emperor Demon bloodline, Mad Demola, and the beast possesses him, increasing his empowerment level from 15 to 21. With this he heads straight for the bug's mouth and goes through, slicing and dicing with his claws until he comes out from the other side. He is able to defeat the monster in no time flat with his bloodline activated, although he has to exhaust a lot of steam when he transforms back like a jet engine. The sword that he literally just bought basically breaks down when it comes in contact with the monster's venom, and that piece of crap cost over 250,000. He is also really hungry, probably due to the energy conversion, and he did not bring any edibles with him, But something smells really tasty and makes his mouth begin to water. It is the corpse demon bug's green-grade core, and for some reason it is emitting a tempting aura that is basically begging him to gobble it up. It does not really look edible, but he takes it in anyway and digests it. And to his shock, his monster template increases a whole 0.3%. He had spent so much on those fancy drugs when there are free cores here that can increase his compatibility rate just as much, so he basically just wasted his money. It is frustrating, but at least he has found a solution, so he uses his life magnetic field to find even more prey, and by the next afternoon, he has increased his compatibility rate a whole 2%, without having to spend a dime. After reaching 9%, the cores stop increasing his compatibility rate, so he decides to sell the rest instead, and he brings back a huge haul with him too. He brings back a total of 20 white magic cores and 1 green core, and according to government regulations, he has to submit 1/10 of his loot, but the woman in charge is still shocked to see him pull out that amount of crystals in just one raid, which amounts to about 200,000, stunning everyone in the room. 9 days until the college entrance exams, at a D-level secret realm rift, a team prepares to head in and complete a mission to obtain a rare item known as the Blood Jade Flower. During their last mission, they had found the location of the flower, but one of their team members got injured by a monster and cannot join them anymore, leaving them with 1 less than what is required to enter a D-rank secret realm. Luckily, their leader, Lin He, a Tier 2 martial artist, is able to contact an agency that introduces them to a new martial artist, and this newbie is none other than our MC Yi He. But he is going under an alias and has an illegal agency create a fake identity for him because high schoolers are not allowed in D-rank secret realms, although it does cost him an expensive 100,000, which is just theft in plain sight. Lin. He is a little suspicious at first, especially since his fake name, Dadsla, sounds kind of suspicious. But he lets go of it and makes it clear that he is only to observe since he still does not qualify for a D-class secret realm because of his low level of strength, and that plan works for Yi-He as well. With that settled, they move out into the secret realm. According to the tracker, the blood jade flower they are looking for is in an oasis guarded by a Tier 2 monster with a general level bloodline, and Yi-He notices that the worlds are nothing alike. The first one he entered being a rainforest, and this one being a desert. Soon, some earth demon rats start to chase them, so the captain orders one of his guys to deal with them, and Hude shoots some throwing knives at them that explode on impact and take care of the rats in an instant. Yi-He notices that he infused martial energy into the knives to make them go boom on impact, and immediately develops mad respect for this man of few words. Eventually they ditch the car they were in and continue the rest on foot, and when Yi-He asks why, Lin. He has to explain to him that monsters around are highly sensitive, and the sound of an engine is sure to attract unnecessary attention from them. He then uses this opportunity to assign roles in the battle. He orders the only girl in the team to lure the monster out by throwing a stunt grenade. Then the silent guy from earlier and another dude will set traps for the monster, and the last guy will suppress it with firepower while he handles the front lines alone. Yi-He is to just watch and do absolutely nothing like they agreed to earlier, which he is still pretty okay with. Just then, the girl shoots the stunt grenade as instructed, which contains pheromones to trick monsters into believing that their territory is being invaded in order to attract them. And just like Lin He predicted, the Tier 2 Earth Dragon shows up right on cue. Meanwhile, a crazy-looking guy stumbles upon the knives that Hude had thrown at the rats, and he is excited about it for some freaky reason. Lin He slices the dragon's head clean off and it falls, and it seems like the plan is a success, so they proceed to continue on their journey, but the Earth Dragon is not completely dead even though it is beheaded, and it tries to attack an unsuspecting Lin He from behind. Luckily, our MC Yi-He leaps just in time to save him and cuts the dragon's arm off, then sends a mighty attack from above that finally finishes it. The entire team is shocked that a novice like him can actually pull such a move, and they all gather and get friendly with him, even the captain. They also get the Earth Dragon's essence as a sweet drop from killing the monster that seems like it could sell for a good price, but it just looks like a tasty snack for Yi-He to improve his template. Lin, he is now starting to feel pretty optimistic over how well things are going. But that cheer turns into a horrific shock when the cool guy that Yi-He had so much respect for turns around and stabs him in the gut, shocking the entire team before he steps back and reveals that he is actually on that bald, crazy-looking fella from before, Huo Peng's side. In other words, he betrays them. Yi-He is confused, so one of the team members explains to him that this Huo Peng is actually a dirty thief who robs martial artists when they're on the job, and now he has set his eyes on them, The knife used on the captain is laced with poison, and it greatly weakens him, but he doesn't understand how the information got out since he only mentioned it after they had already entered the realm. It is Yi He who immediately realizes and points out that Hu Dai embedded the info in his knives, and the rats gave him the perfect chance to send it out, which explains why Huo Peng was getting freaky with it earlier. Hu Dai commends Yi He's smarts and even reveals that he is aware that he is actually a high schooler playing dress-up and pretending to be an adult, but that doesn't move Yi He in the slightest. If anything, he is disappointed that the man he once respected turns out to be such a scumbag. Hu Dai is ticked off by this arrogance and shoots a knife, but Yi He easily catches it with his bare hands and informs him that he is going to have to try better than that. He then activates his ability and gets ready to beat up some jerk face. Huo Peng makes it official by ordering Hu Dai to eliminate Yi He, and Hu Dai happily obliges and begins to attack with multiple knives, none of which actually reach their target because Yi He's energy alone is enough to deflect them. Just then, Hu Dai disappears from sight and appears again behind him in an attempt to land a sneak attack, but Yi He can easily sense him coming and decides to use this opportunity to test his new martial arts skill. He sends a bolt of energy through the dude's chest before Hu Dai can even land. The entire team is shocked that a low-level martial arts novice like Yi He can take out Hu Dai in one move, and Huo Peng demands to know what family he is from. Yi He reveals that he is from the Damonra clan, and he has started accepting pleas for mercy. This infuriates Huo Peng, and he makes it clear that no matter how strong someone's bloodline is, it can never truly compensate for a lack of martial arts skill. He then proceeds to activate his own bloodline, Tyrant Terror Black Bear. He uses a martial arts technique, Peak Shaker, to try and crush Yi He, but Yi He easily dodges it and decides to go for the overgrown bear cub's legs. He manages to deal some damage, but Tier 2 bloodlines are tough, so he cannot cut all the way through even with his abilities. Huo Peng then tries to squish him like a bug in a martial arts energy-infused clap, but Yi He dodges it and gets above him, then uses his core-fused mountain-crushing fist attack to land multiple power-filled punches on the dude, knocking him out of the battle in seconds flat. The rest of the team have graduated from being shocked to being sincerely terrified of what this newbie can actually do, and a beaten-up Huo Peng resorts to cursing him and expressing his distaste. But Yi He does not really give a horse's behind about that as he prepares to give him the final blow, because if he had a penny every time someone cursed him, he would be a millionaire by now. At the magnificent central sports stadium of the city, an announcer welcomes everyone and announces the commencement of the General Martial Arts College enrollment exams. This entrance exam adopts a completion system, and candidates have to compete in pairs, so the winner advances to the next round. The exams last for 3 days, with the first 2 days being for auditions, and only the students that pass them are allowed to take the actual exam on the 3rd day. In the auditions, the students are to fight 3 matches, and then those who get promoted successfully compete against each other all the way to the top of a leaderboard, so that the top scorer of the college entrance examination can be selected. Then the very enthusiastic commentator encourages them to do their best as they carry the fate of humanity as the next generation of warriors. At the arena, multiple battles are happening simultaneously as students strive to display their skills and come out on top. But in Arena 6, there seems to be a problem as one of the candidates hasn't arrived yet. The 2 contestants are Yi He and his female bully, Huang Tongtong. But only Huang Tongtong has shown up for the fight, and according to the rules, if our MC doesn't show up and the battle begins, then it is considered a forfeit on his part. Huang Tongtong is really looking forward to having her sweet revenge with her dude lizard on the crackhead that embarrassed her during the Gene Awakening, but is disappointed when he doesn't show, and the speculators are not too happy either, and have already started mocking him. Time runs out, and just as the referee is about to award the match to Huang Tongtong, strong warriors in the speculating crowd detect a powerful aura heading straight for them, and then the rest of the crowd notice something flying towards them. As it gets closer, they realize that it's a person, and not just any person, but the player they've all been waiting for. Yeah, hey. He makes a grand entrance landing from the sky, and before Huang Tongtong can even understand what's going on, she gets a face full of foot as Yi. He sends her flying across the arena with just a kick. Yeah. He is just glad that he is able to make it in time before he gets disqualified without even getting a shot, and Huang Tongtong is blown away once again by Yi. He's sheer awesomeness and looks wasted, almost like a repeat of what happened at the Gene Awakening. The referee immediately announces him the winner, which actually shocks him, and the once disappointed crowd are now his #1 fans glazing him and his awesome entrance. It turns out that his monster template compatibility has increased to 20%, because the captain of that team, Lin He, gave him the blood jade fruit as appreciation, but it took time for it to work and improve his physique, which explains why he was late. Now that he is here, it is time to show these side characters what he is made of. He advances to the next round and is put against someone from another school. But he one-shots the guy and does the same in the next battle as well, just like he did with Huang Tongtong. The crowd is now going crazy about him, and his fan club is starting to form as he has announced the winner of all his matches, which qualifies him for the actual exam on the third day. University representatives, ambassadors, reporters, and fans flock to him to get on his good side, and all the attention actually starts getting to his head, making him blush like a high school girl. There are all these options suddenly available for him, but he kindly declines all of them and boldly claims that he wants to enter Huadu University. Immediately he claims this. The people that were obsessed with him seconds ago immediately lose interest, like he's old news, and he doesn't blame them for it, because even he himself knows that the university he just chose is the best university in the country, and among the top 5 in the entire world. And their entrance rate is less than ideal, so that place is considered a sort of holy land by martial artists all over. And in a second city like his, the entrance rate is even lower, but that only makes him want to get in even more. And plus, he really wants to see the look on their faces when he makes first place in this entrance exam tournament. Just then, some gentlemen that look like they work in the FBI or something request that they reevaluate his martial arts level, and he sees no problem with it, so he cooperates. The officers are shocked to find out that he has gone from a third-level martial artist to a level 9 in just half a month, and he starts to worry that they may find out that his way of leveling up is unnatural and a cheat code is involved. But these men also know that he had taken a break from school and has been frequently visiting E-level secret realms, so they question him about that. He then pulls the same trick he did on his teacher with his puppy dog eyes and motivational face, and then he reveals that he broke through his genetic lock. This leaves them shocked to their core, and they rush out to go report this to their higher-ups as soon as possible, and that is when it becomes apparent to him that he has become somewhat of a subject of interest to these crazy people. Social media is bustling with parents and supporters cheering the students on, and as Yi Doom scrolls through these, he realizes that there is no one cheering him on. And then it dawns on him that he really is just a lonely orphan who nobody cares about, except someone does. His teacher from his high school, who had shown no regard for him earlier, is actually secretly cheering him on from his TV. But there's no way for our MC to know this. Soon the time for the main exam arrives and Yi is called out for his first match, and his opponent is Luo Xuan, who is quite popular and is the top from his school, an 8th-level martial artist with an Awakener's rare 2nd-level magical beast bloodline. Plus, both his parents are warriors, so he has quite the fan following. Yi is less than impressed, though, and graciously gives him the first move, which ticks Luo Xuan off, so he starts glazing himself. Yi makes it clear that whoever he thinks he is will not change the outcome of this battle, and this is the last straw that breaks the camel's back, because Luo Xuan snaps and activates his bloodline, then rushes to attack Yi. But our nonchalant MC doesn't even try to dodge or deflect, but uses his bare hands to stop a beast semi-transformed Luo Xuan in his tracks. Yi then commends the poor boy for his momentum, but it's nothing compared to the power of the black bear he fought in that D-rank realm. He then crushes his hand, bringing Luo Xuan to his knees, and then he uses his power punch to finish him in one attack. It's really an easy win for him, and Yi is getting sick of all these unchallenging battles that end after just one attack. The once revered Luo Xuan, who was so cocky and flaunting his family's power, is now passed out on the arena floor, disappointing all his fans and followers. Meanwhile, Yi is easily declared the winner, and the battle wasn't even a close one. He is now going viral with all his one-shot wins and immediate victories. His fans grow stronger and cheer him on. Chuzhou watches as Luo Xuan is being hurled to the sick bay like the victim of a tragic accident, and he is glad that the man he chose to be his rival isn't a slacker, contrary to what people believed in the past. Meanwhile, at Huadu University's admission office, they are observing the match through a live broadcast and saw everything. And now an officer demands that he gets all the information on that student that won, aka Yi, as soon as possible. At another arena, the second match begins in earnest, and the percentage of people hyped for this one are mostly males because it's a battle between two hot genius beauties, Kai Xiaoling from a different school, a fiery fighter with lots of energy and a fierce aura, and then there's Liu Qingjiju from our MC's school, a stone-cold beauty that's silent and focused, but has a deadly presence. The horny perverts in the crowd can't hold themselves back, being blessed to see beauties of opposing natures dragging it out. The referee commences the battle, and Kai Shaoling immediately kicks things off with a kick attack, being sick of Liu Qingyiju's emotionless face. But she defends it with her family's secret art that creates a barrier of wind that deflects the attack and pushes Kai Shaoling back. She then uses Flash Step for a rebound attack that's even fiercer than the last, and aims for an opening she spots at the last minute, but realizes way too late that it was a trap, and Liu Qingyiju had left that opening on purpose to trap her fist in her barrier. Liu Qingyiju then uses this opportunity to land a very high-grade martial arts punch from above, and the commentator is shocked that she is able to master such a high difficulty level skill as a high schooler. Kai Shaoling finally begins to take things seriously and activates her Shadow Claw Tiger King bloodline, which the commentator notes is hard to control because it is a royal bloodline. Now that she has shown her cards, she asks Liu Qingyiju to do the same, but our cold princess informs her that her normal form is more than enough to deal with such an inferior opponent like her. This ticks Kai Shaoling off, so she rushes in for an attack like an impatient tiger that just found its prey, but Liu Qingyiju easily deflects all her attacks with her magnificent secret family arts. And then Kai Shaoling tries another approach, so Liu Qingyiju finally switches from defense to attack, and their two martial energies collide, creating an explosion of dust from the arena. The speculators are dying with curiosity to see who comes out on top in the end. And when the dust finally settles down, they find Kai Shaoling still standing and immediately assume she has won. But the very next second, the girl faints out of pure exhaustion, and it is revealed that Liu Qingyiju is actually the last one standing, and therefore declared the winner of the match. She totally destroyed her opponent, who was at the same level as her, and had a royal bloodline on her side, without even having to activate her own bloodline. The crowd soon starts placing bets on who they think will come out on top this year, and Liu Qingyiju is already taking the lead with that display of power and efficiency, plus the fact that she awakened a fourth-tier beast, of which she hasn't even called upon yet. After that, the top 8 advancing students are asked to come draw lots to choose their opponents, and Yi He draws A, which matches him up against the gigantic hunk of a guy that's almost twice his size, but is somehow still a high schooler from another school just like him. The hunk introduces himself as Shen Guan and suggests that they both pay attention to the first match since their match is coming up immediately after it. The first match is between some dude named Luo Shi and our narcissist, Chuzhou, and it ends with Luo Shi eating dust and Chuzhou coming out on top, which is sad really because Luo Shi had intentionally repeated a year, grinding hard to get into Huadu University, and his bloodline and martial arts are very polished, but ultimately he lost to Chuzhou, leaving the principal of Luo Shi's school grinding his teeth. Yi He then asks his hunk how he compares to Luo Shi in an attempt to size him up, so Shen Guan humbly reveals that he is actually the martial arts club president in his school, and 2 of that guy combined still can't take him down. Changing from an innocent look to a sharp glare, he reveals that the only real threat he senses in this entire competition is Yi He. Ever since he was little, Shen Guan's senses have always been unusually sharp like an animal's, and right now, he is sensing that Yi He is some kind of volcano just waiting to erupt. Just as quickly, he switches back to his innocent face card and informs Yi He that it is time for their match, and with that, they make their way to the arena, and it's playing out to be one heck of a battle between 2 insanely strong forces. The competition for the top 8 students to pass the college entrance examinations is in full swing, and currently a heated battle is taking place between 2 very overpowered characters, and just the impact from their clashes is enough to blow the audience away, literally. Shen Guan notices that he is now getting a nosebleed due to the effect of Yi He's bloodline that directly targets cells in the body, and Yi He on the other hand notes that this Shen Guan fellow actually used his martial arts energy to create a barrier on his body surface, blocking the effects of his nuclear radiation ability. He commends his martial arts skills and recognizes the big guy as an actual monster of an opponent, which gets him fired up for the first time since this entire exam began. Shen Guan then decides to show a martial art move of his very own that has been passed down from his family and sends a powerful attack towards Yi He, and he can't dodge in time because it's way too fast, so Yi He takes the blow of Shen Guan's double punch move straight to the gut. The crowd goes wild as the almighty one-shot master Yi He has finally taken an attack that actually causes damage, only proving how powerful his opponent really is this time, and it's so strong that he has to step back a little bit. Shen Guan doesn't intend to give him the slightest chance to catch his breath, charging straight at him immediately with the force of a mountain bear and lands an attack, but this time, Yi He is able to block it with his bare hands. Yi He realizes that his opponent is not just plain strong, but also uses his martial energy by integrating it into his body, causing double the damage. All his other opponents before him were weak trash with no experience fighting a strong enemy whatsoever. But Shen Guan is definitely a force to be reckoned with. To his shock, Shen Guan's arm slides behind him, and in the split of a second the hunky dude has got our MC in a chokehold. And while he has him there, he explains that not only can he inject martial energy into his body to double his attack impact, but he can also lock the martial energy in his enemy's body, which basically means that he just rendered Yi He incapable of using any martial arts for the time being. Shen Guan then uses the force of an ape to hurl Yi He real high up into the sky. Then he uses the pounce of a tiger to get up there and lands a hot uppercut punch that sends Yi He flying back down, and while still mid-air, he uses the plunge dive force of an eagle to catch up to him. And even though Yi He tries to block this one as well, Shen Guan grinds him deep into the ground with incredible power. Shen Guan is basically a walking zoo with so many animal-based martial arts moves in his skill set, and those series of attacks don't give Yi He much space to defend properly, talk less of fighting back, but it is quite satisfying for Mr. Hulk over here. The medical team is already preparing to haul the injured to the sickbay because no normal human should be able to withstand all that and still be able to breathe. And the announcer is about to call the match a victory for Shen Guan when he notices something. There is now a deadly, enormous amount of aura oozing from where he thought he defeated Yi He, and what steps out of all that smoke is an almost fully transformed Yi He, who has activated his bloodline and is more than ready for round 2 of the very entertaining battle, and he commends his opponent for being the first person to witness him in this form. The announcer informs the crowd that with a full monster embodiment like Yi He just did, he is already more than qualified to enter Huadu University without even having to take the exam. And in all his life as a commentator, he had never expected a person like this to come out of a small city like this, talk less of a high school student. This new development shocks Shen Guan to the core, as he had never expected that his opponent would be at such a high level of bloodline awakening. The examiners are all equipped with monitoring headphones to help them monitor the candidates and other stuff happening both inside and outside the examination room, and one of them is shocked to receive an alert that the nuclear radiation value of the arena is rushing off the charts and with alarming speed, so to prevent it from leaking into the audience, the officials take immediate action by working together to create an ultra-strong barrier around the arena to keep it contained. The crowd goes wild with this new development, and the subject of what Yi He's awakened magical beast is comes up, and then it is revealed that it is actually an unknown species, and Yi He presumes that his awakened magical beast, Demora, does not exist on this planet, which would explain why no one has heard of it. Shen Guan starts bleeding from his nose again, and then he realizes that his martial arts barrier has reached its limits and is no longer effective, so he definitely cannot drag this battle for too long or he will lose for sure. He awakens his bloodline, the demon ape magical beast, a third-rank royal just like Kai Shaoling, and rushes to attack Yi He before he runs out of time. But Yi He is done waiting around to get beaten without ever getting the chance to fight back and also sends his own attack. The clash is massive, and it totally destroys Shen Guan's arm, leaving it all bloody and bruised. But it would have probably been much worse and completely non-existent if he hadn't released his own force just in time. He has made such a big fuss and now he's regretting getting so cocky, because the being standing as his opponent is definitely not a normal human, and Yi He is dead set on winning this match. The second match of the top 8 students' college entrance examinations will definitely be one for the record books, as we have a third-order king bloodline going against an ultra-powerful unknown bloodline. Shen Guan reasons that since his opponent's bloodline awakened, his strength skyrocketed, and he lost the ability to lock his martial energy, and now he is running out of it to finish this match. He reminds the big guy not to get distracted as he rushes towards him at full speed and then rains a load of attacks on Shen Guan, so Shen Guan retaliates by using his spaghetti hand move to lock onto He's arm in an attempt to immobilize him, but he doesn't even slow down one bit, so Shen Guan then uses it to change positions and appear behind him, then leaps into the air and comes down with a mighty elephant foot that packs a real punch on Yi He, and he doesn't even try to dodge and just stands there taking the full blow. Shen Guan is shocked to see that Yi He is totally unaffected by that attack, not even a single scratch or dent on his beast armor. And then Yi He pulls his legs that had been nailed into the ground from the sheer force of Shen Guan's last attack out, and prepares to land his own attack, because it's finally his turn to deal some damage. Yi He charges up one heck of a power punch, and is about to fire when Shen Guan suddenly gets on his knees just before the punch makes impact, bows his head, and politely asks to withdraw from the match, showing the utmost respect to his very strong but now confused opponent. This, of course, doesn't sit well with Yi He, because he has waited patiently all this time, taken all those beatings, and was very ready to finally deal some real damage of his own. And now the big guy suddenly wants to surrender. He eventually lets it go and has to burp out all that excess energy that he built up in preparation to attack and transform back, because he knows that the rules won't let him attack an opponent who has already surrendered anyway. The battle is declared over, and Yi He is announced the winner, and his fans go wilder than ever and glaze him so hard. In mere seconds, memes about Shen Guan's loss have already been created and are circulating, while clips of Yi He's battle and aura farming are going crazy on the internet. And fan groups are rife with speculation going around that neither Chuzhou nor Liu Qinggizhu might even be a match for him at this point. The principal of Shen Guan's school, who is also the same principal from Luoshi's, is now boiling with anger because even though he was disappointed when Luoshi lost, he had really put all his hopes on Shen Guan. As Shen Guan returns from the battle, the principal yells at him for admitting defeat even after all the money the school had spent training him, and tells him to forget about college until he's able to pay off that debt. Shen Guan then calmly confronts him and, with an intimidating glare, informs him that he couldn't take the punch without severely and permanently damaging his body. And as for the school, he very well plans on repaying his debt. But he warns the fat jerk face never to raise his voice at a much stronger warrior than he will ever be again. And the principal, whose yells have turned into a terrified shaky nod, agrees. After this round of the fierce competition ends, the emerging four winners are Yi He, Liu Qinggizhu, Chuzhou, and some other nobody side character that the writer didn't even bother to name. The supporters of these students are cheering for them, including the old man who is cheering for Yi He. The draw for the semi-final rounds begins, and Yi He draws first again, but this time he is matched up against the ice-cold princess Liu Qinggizhu, who is determined to win, although you couldn't tell from her emotionless expression. The first match is about to begin, and it's an internal battle between two students from the same school, and the crowd is extremely hyped for this one as they will see their goddess go against the aura farmer, and the audience is divided equally with supporters of Liu Qinggizhu on one side and supporters of Yi He on the other. Liu Qinggizhu's supporters argue that she has mastered two extremely difficult and mysterious royal martial arts that earned her the nickname of Goddess, as she was able to beat Kai Shaoling without even having to activate her 4th-level Netherbird bloodline. On the other hand, Yi He's supporters argue that he has extreme power, and although he was forced to unleash it by Shen Guan, he still displayed extreme strength and had not shown all he can do before the match was forfeited, so he shouldn't be ruled out just yet. It can be anyone's game at this point, but one thing all of them can agree on is that this is most definitely going to be the most epic battle yet. The crowd goes wild at the arena as the two warriors make their way onto the battleground, and once they have firmly stood their ground, the referee commences the battle. Yi He immediately releases a lot of steam that creates a smokescreen, reducing visibility, but Liu Qinggizhu is able to escape it, although she can do nothing but sense the monster that's growing in the middle of all that smoke, and she hopes that her opponent is strong enough, with a hot determination to come out on top. The smokescreen that Yi He created covers the entire arena, drastically reducing visibility for both his opponent and the spectators, and they are growing very impatient, wanting to see everything that's going on, so the commentator tries to distract them in the meantime by hyping the battle. Yi He is well aware that his opponent's martial art skills are top-notch and far beyond his, so if it comes down to a battle of techniques, then he won't be able to touch her no matter how powerful he is. And with those high-level techniques comes an over-the-roof IQ, so the longer the fight drags on, the more time she has to come up with a clever strategy that would take him down instantly. This means he needs to go all out from the start and not give her any room to think, so he rushes straight for her with his martial arts power punch about to attack, and Liu Qinggizhu perceives this and starts preparing her royal martial arts ultimate defense technique to block it, but at the very moment of impact, Yi He switches from the power punch to a low kick instantly, which Liu Qinggizhu is not prepared for, so she can't defend against it on time, and it makes contact, causing great damage. She is forced to retreat back a few steps to regroup her thoughts, annoyed that he has tricked her so easily after yelling out a punch but switching to a kick at the last second. But he is a beast who doesn't care about battle morals and doesn't wait for her to recover before sending his next attack her way, which really is a martial art power punch this time. The crowd isn't really a fan of Yi. He's underhanded tricks, but the dude is determined to win no matter what, and Liu Qinggizhu is barely able to block his attack this time with her bare hands. The surprise attack has totally thrown Liu Qinggizhu off her game, and now she can't concentrate well enough to come up with a strategy, and Yi He is not making it any easier for her. overwhelming her with attack after attack and leaving her with no chance to escape at all. He punches, then follows it with a power kick, and then comes down at her with a double X/attack that pushes her away, then comes after her with claw fist and sends slashes her way. Liu Qingiju notices that his claws are filled with martial energy and only barely dodges the long-range slash attack by jumping over it, and then she finally tries to land her very own attack, but it doesn't even slow him down one bit as he emerges from the smoke to her face, closing the distance between them in mere seconds, then sending a rain of punches her way that she can do nothing but try to block with her bare hands. Liu Qingiju is shocked that he is still not tired after using so many high-level attacks in a row from the start, and she has mastered 2 high-class mysterious royal martial arts, one for the ultimate defense and one packing serious offensive power. And she notes that if she could use either of them, then she would be able to escape his numerous attacks, but he is not giving her even the slightest opening to utilize any of them. She realizes that if she doesn't do something quickly, she will be pushed off the battle stage and automatically lose to him as per the rules, so she is left with no other choice than to use her final trump card, a form she has never shown anyone till now, and Yi notices amid his punches that something is happening. Liu Qingiju awakens her Netherbird bloodline and transforms into her beast mode, which grants her wings that she uses to soar high and escape Yi's attack range. She is granted magnificent wings that greatly increase her speed and mobility, making her appear like an actual angelic saint from heaven, and the crowd goes wild at the sight of it. Liu Qingiju then proceeds to inform Yi that she can't really control her strength in this form, but he gets even more fired up and excited because up till now he has only been using half his strength, so now he can finally let loose and go all out in this battle. Before he can finish that sentence, Liu Qingiju appears behind him and starts round 2 of their match by activating her ultra-powerful offensive royal martial arts that she has been dying to use. But Yi is able to react on time and sends his atomic blast fist her way, so the 2 opposing powers collide, creating an impact force so strong that the crowd can barely keep their eyes open due to the sheer magnitude of the force. The collision results in Liu Qingiju being pushed back, and then she looks to see that Yi has also activated his very own bloodline, this time using the beast embodiment to the extent that it almost covers his face, and he is charging up a crazy amount of energy that will produce one heck of a blast. The first semi-final of the college entrance examination is still ongoing, and if you think it was fierce before, then think again, because it's only getting more and more intense. Liu Qingiju realizes that the energy fluctuations she is detecting are definitely not good, and Yi over there is focusing really hard to gather up power and charge up his energy. It's like a scene from the actual King of Beasts, Godzilla, as the protruding spine on his back starts storing a massive amount of energy that is being transmitted to his mouth, and then he releases it in a large energy beam that spurts out of his mouth like an atomic breath wave and destroys everything in its path. It heads straight for Liu Qingiju, and she uses her wings to try and protect herself from the sheer force of the blast. Then she activates her latent ability that grants her feather reflection, so when the blast makes contact with her, her feathers try to reflect the energy every which way apart from directly at her. The result of this is that the beam loses its target and divides into multiple smaller beams that head straight for the terrified audience who are sitting ducks in the stands, but they are all blocked by a new barrier that covers the entire arena just in time to save the speculating folks from being completely vaporized by the atomic blast. The man responsible for this barrier is none other than the city's mayor Huang Qing, a young and powerful man who is proud to see that his city has birthed such young and powerful warriors like the students he is currently watching battling it out. The commentator assures the crowd that they don't have to worry about their safety anymore, since the mayor himself has taken it upon himself to keep everyone safe so they can focus on enjoying the premium entertainment the battle is offering, which ushers in a sense of relief as the crowd cheers for him. Meanwhile, back to the actual battle, Liu Qingiju is now bleeding profusely because she has taken in a whole lot of damage, and her feathers had tried their best in deflecting the power beam, but they were ultimately vaporized by the beam, leaving her completely wingless, although it's the only reason why she's still able to stand after all that. She is shocked that her opponent was not only able to break through her defense, but also inflict a whole lot of damage on her with just one shot beam, and she starts to doubt whether she can actually beat Yi. Liu Qingiju has grown up under the pressure of her family bloodline ever since she was very little, and her mom only added to the pressure, feeding her with a whole lot of anxiety and fear of losing, and even when she was too tired and couldn't breathe, she was forced to keep working until she won, as that was the only option and the only thing her mom taught her to do. And now she's tired of fighting and exhausted from facing a strong opponent like her classmate Yi He. So she convinces herself that giving up at this point is only natural since there's no way she can win. And with that mentality, she tries to attack, but it's just a plea for help covered in a last-ditch attempt of an attack. And she leaves herself wide open in hopes that he would take the chance and defeat her quickly. But to her ultimate dismay, he does absolutely nothing, and just stands there and takes the attack head-on. She is shocked that he didn't even try to dodge, talk less of take the advantage that she had clearly left open for him. So he tells her that he noticed that her fighting spirit has gone out with the most disappointed and condescending look ever. He then informs her that he refuses to win a battle by default, and he is tired of accepting surrenders, and as he charges a power punch, he declares that he is going to win this battle fair and square. He punches a shocked Liu Qingiju, although she tries to block with her arms and tells her to start taking things seriously because he will. After that, he overwhelms her with a series of attacks, pinning her to the ground and asking her repeatedly when she's ready to be serious. He obviously has no intention whatsoever of being a gentleman and has no regard for the fact that she's just a girl, and she, on the other hand, has never been beaten so much since she was a child. She doesn't understand why he won't just take the victory of this stupid battle and call it a day, even though she basically handed it over to him on a silver platter. At some point she can't take it anymore and she snaps, making a grand explosion of power that blows Yi He away, and then she tells him that it's very rude to hit a woman, especially in the face, with mad feminist energy. Yi He calmly informs her that if she wants to stop getting hit in the face and treated like his personal punching bag, then she better step up her game and start taking things seriously. She definitely obliges to that request, as she uses a taboo martial art to transform into a mightier version of her magical nether bird beast form. If she was an angelic saint from heaven before then, she's an actual goddess with this new transformation, and she is determined more than ever to take our MC down no matter what. Liu Qingiju has finally revealed her magical beast's true form, and Yi He is liking the new look, happy that she is finally taking things seriously and taking the battle to a whole new level of epic. To respect her for this level of commitment, he decides that he won't hold back either and releases the power of his bloodline that grants him the monster embodiment armor that makes him look like he just stepped out of the Kaiju number 8 anime. He then uses a technique to combine the monster template of Samura and a skill of his called Hard Qigong that optimizes his combat abilities and doubles his attack strength. He then heads straight for her to kick off round 3 of their battle, but Liu Qingiju is already ready for him and sends a huge blade slicing hurricane towards him, which he counters with his power fists and easily breaks through without even slowing down. He continues on his way to her, but she breathes in and uses a sonic scream attack on him next, using the wave to repel his scream and eventually repelling him back as well. Then he informs her that she's not the only one that can scream and begins charging his Godzilla energy blast at his protruding spine, but she detects it and informs him that there's no way she's falling for the same attack again. She charges up an attack of her own, completely giving up defense to release her family's strongest move and determined to face him head-on this time around without looking back. After he has finished charging, he sends his Godzilla atomic breath blast her way, and it's as fierce or maybe even more than it was the first time, and she retaliates by sending her now charged-up bloodline ability, Netherworld Blood Thorns, that blast off in the form of several powerful spears. The two powers are about to collide, and the examiners, commentator, and entire crowd are worried that the students won't be able to control that level of power or the impact it will cause afterwards. The mayor, Huang Qing, uses a gene technique and activates the divine leyline wall, a group of walls that appear in between the opposing powers to at least cushion the collision impact, but it does almost nothing as the powers easily break through it, and the collision happens either way, creating a huge explosion as a result. The mayor had contained the effects of the collision, reducing its impact on the crowd to a bare minimum, if not most of them would have been evaporated by the sheer force of the blast. He notes that his 3 leyline walls were prepared too hastily, and they were not as solid as usual, hence they could only do little to stop the collision from happening, and he had never thought that such incredibly strong students would be participating in this year's competition. Liu Qingiju is now bleeding even more profusely than before, and her left arm is completely shattered due to the impact of the collision at such close range. Although the power of her magical beast's true body has been completely exhausted, she still can't give up and is still determined to win even if it's obvious that her body doesn't agree with that logic. Just then, He steps out of the smoke, and to her shock, he is still standing strong with barely a scratch on him, even though she clearly felt her attacks connect. He informs her that if she doesn't get rid of the nuclear radiation in her body, then she'd be crippled for life later on. Then she hesitates a bit before she starts yapping in tears about how she didn't even want to fight him to that extent. But he just had to keep pushing her up until her breaking point. He then comes down to her level and calmly explains to her that he knew that she really didn't want to give up on winning, and she was just lying and trying desperately to convince herself otherwise, not wanting to admit to her competitive spirit. When she started fighting for real just now, he could feel her burning desire to win this stupid battle, and looking back on it, Liu Qingiju realizes that he's actually right. All through the last round of their match, she was truly giving it her all, because deep down, she really wanted to win, even if it meant sacrificing all her defenses and focusing solely on her attacks. She has no idea what's wrong with her because she had thought that she deeply hated the idea of fighting and wanted to lose to him as soon as possible, but for a moment she felt the exhilarating feeling of fighting for herself. He then gets touchy with her, which makes her blush, but he is actually just using his ability to repair her arm, while advising her to focus more on her battles and reject distracting thoughts. He then leaves her with that battle tip and a completely healed arm, completely free of injuries, but not before commending her for being the strongest opponent he has faced so far, and wishing that he would have yet another epic battle with her in the future, hopefully on more friendly terms, and that makes her blush like some high school girl. After that, the smoke from the battle clears up and the obvious winner is Yi He, so the match is declared over and victory is handed over to him. After Yi He defeated Liu Qingiju, Chuzhou also won his battle as expected, so that brings the competition to its final match to decide the overall winner between the Dark Horse Yi He and Ice Apex Chuzhou from the same school, and the viewers of this battle are going crazy with the numbers. The battle immediately commences and Chu makes the first move with his ice sword against a very eager Yi He, and then he charges towards him, creating multiple versions of himself and his sword as he goes, all targeting our MC. But Yi He doesn't have the time or patience it takes to start figuring out who's the real one and who's the clone, so he just uses his power punches to blast through all of them at insane speeds. This reaction shocks Chuzhou, and he realizes that there's no way he can take this monster of an opponent on in close combat, so he decides that he'll use long-range attacks to take him down. Chuzhou immediately uses his blood awakening to call upon the power of his magical beast, the Ice Elemental Dragon. Then he uses the ability it grants him to execute Icy Pulse, which freezes everything around him, creating a huge iceberg on the arena to the crowd's amazement and trapping Yi He in ice to chill for a bit. His supporters praise him for both his strength and handsomeness, and for being able to put the very hot fiery Yi He on ice to cool down, literally. But only Chuzhou knows that just that attack alone took a huge toll on his body. To everyone's shock, the iceberg that Yi He is supposed to be trapped in begins to melt from the inside, and then Yi He's signature Godzilla atomic blast shoots out from it. Chuzhou is stunned that Yi He was able to break free from his power trap so easily, and he tries to use an ice shield to block the incoming atomic blast, but it does little, and he has to take the full force of it. Yi He then confidently steps out of his refrigerator prison, now fully transformed, and informs Chuzhou that he has run out of luck because their elements are natural enemies. And Chuzhou realizes that the power gap between them is just too great, so he decides to give it his all in a final attack and starts a move that he has saved especially for Liu Qingiju. But Yi He is an even more witty opponent. Chuzhou creates a huge sword of ice, tall enough to compete with a whole building, and the mayor is shocked once more to see such a level of ability and power in mere high school students. He then descends the huge sword on Yi He, but it completely shatters as He stops and breaks it with his bare hands, barely causing himself any harm, and then he tells Chuzhou to try again when he has a bigger sword. Chuzhou is shocked at this outcome, but he knows when he has been thoroughly defeated, so he asks his opponent how much of a chance he has of winning the battle, and He informs him that at this point the number is on the negative side. With that, he humbly forfeits the match, and He automatically wins by default. His fans go wild and he goes viral instantly on social media and on billboards, and the entire country cheers him on at this point. The commentator officially announces him as the top scorer of this year's college entrance examinations, which means he has achieved his goal. He is immediately bombarded with questions and an interview, so he goes ahead to take the mic and begin his appreciation speech, thanking his teacher for always encouraging him even at his lowest. This brings the old man to tears, and he swears to be a better teacher from now on. Just then, He spots his school teacher promising a $2 million scholarship if he could advertise the school as well, and being a sucker for money like he is, he immediately praises the school and headmaster as well. Finally, he thanks himself for all the hard work and dedication he put into reaching where he now stands, and just then the system alerts him that he has actually been rewarded a random template ability for becoming the #1 scholar, and this update surprises him. After the battle and competition have ended, our MC faces yet another threat, being chased down by a horde of over-energetic reporters. One pervy one in particular wants to know which of the hot girls in the battle he finds pretty, or maybe which of the guys if he swings that way, but he totally ignores those inappropriate questions and runs for his life. He finally loses them, but finds himself at a basketball court, and just when he's rejoicing about his newfound freedom, a character from behind sneaks up on him and frightens him. The mysterious man assures him that he is not a reporter, but actually a representative from Huadu, and he has come to have a little chat about the issue of genetic locks. This topic name alerts Yi He, especially because he is sure that he didn't open any genetic lock, so he begins to worry that his secret cheat code has been found out. The man asks whether he learned about the word from his father, and according to the memories of the previous owner of his body, Yi He apparently had. The man then asks why he never questioned how his father, who was a lowly taxi driver, knew about such a top-secret word that has nothing to do with his profession, and He starts to suspect that the man is about to reveal some big secret. The man hands him a file that the school had deemed okay to release for him, and when He opens it, he realizes that it is from Prometheus, a secret organization that was blocked and wanted by the government, so many of their members had to go into hiding, but they were once a giant in the field of biological studies, and genetic lock therapy was one of their key projects. He finds it hard to believe that he is some sort of product of a secret wanted organization that his cheap dad was part of, and when the man assures him that the government won't come looking for him, he is sure that he isn't moved by any of this, so the assurance really isn't necessary. But then the man tells him that his safety is a top priority, which makes his head bloat with pride, and he starts glazing himself. When the man finally decides to leave, He is glad to finally be alone so he can test out the rewards that getting top scorer got him, especially the new monster template. He impatiently activates it, and it reveals to him a brand new monster template like it promised, and it turns out to be a D-rank template, super gigantic humanoid, with a compatibility rate of only 1%. It's not really impressive compared to his Demora, but then he gets the smart idea to convince the two of them to turn into one gigantic Demora monster, also known as a colossal titan. Then he would truly be the king of beasts. At another location, Huo Peng's brother, Huo Long, cancels all of his future plans to deal with a particular issue, and the dude is very upset, especially when he receives news that no remains of his brother could be found at the realm he was last seen in. But what was found instead were little remnants of nuclear radiation that clearly match that of Yi He, who is now famous as the top scorer. Huo Long blames his little brother for acting so rashly and not listening to him, especially when their mother has left him in charge, and then Yi He comes up on the TV. Huo Long reckons that this Yi He dude must be so talented, with universities like Huadu practically knocking on his door at this moment, but he predicts that they would never be able to see him enroll. At Yi He's residence, he receives a letter from Chuzhou asking that he accompany him to go investigate a new C-rank secret realm crack that is predicted to open later in the afternoon. And Yi He wonders who the hell still uses letters in this day and age, especially as a teenager. He shows up at the designated place nevertheless, and to his surprise, it is packed full of other warriors that want to go check it out, unlike the other low-level rift venues he had gone to train in. Just then, Chuzhou catches up with him and immediately notices that Yi He has gotten stronger than he was at their battle, and it's true because Yi He had actually taken some gene meds that increased his compatibility with the giant humanoid template to 35%. But it is still uncomfortable that Chuzhou was able to tell after just a few seconds of meeting. Yi He then asks which university he is planning on attending after school, and Chuzhou reveals that he will also be going to Huadu, which means they'll continue to be classmates even after school. Although Yi He notices that Chuzhou seems a little bummed, like something is bothering him, he doesn't get much time to ask about it though, because just then the rift to the secret realm appears, and they soon have to face a freaky three-headed bird monster,